Don't you wish you could look under the hood of other business owners doing their year-end review and ask some questions? Well, I'm here to tell you about what happened in 2024, the good and the bad, and what I'm most excited about for 2025. You're going to get the real tea from someone who's turning her service-based business into a bit of more of a creator-style business. So if you want to hear more about that transition, let's dive in. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessica Lackey. I work primarily with expertise-based business owners. So coaches, consultants, trainers, people who are trying to grow a business, monetizing their knowledge, but sell through a lot of services. I work generally with 3 different offerings. I have a one-on-one, high-touch, high-impact service that generally runs from $1,000 a month. I have a group cohort program for entrepreneurs who are defining their business foundations. That is $300 a month. And new this year, I have a membership running $30 a month, which gets you access to the essential curriculum, rituals, and rhythms to add foundations in your business. So for context, I have now 1,100 subscribers on my email list. The reason I'm giving you all this is because when you hear about what worked well and what didn't work well in my business, I want you to have some context for who I am, who I serve, and generally how my offerings are structured so that you can take what serves you and not what doesn't serve you. Here's the 3 things that worked really, really well in 2024. Number 1, I leaned hard into creating reusable assets, video, and long form writing. So back at last holiday season, someone sent me a case study of someone talking about how to grow your business without launching. It was a Google document and I was hooked. I downloaded this person's courses. I downloaded his free videos on his website. I bought his first intro offer and consumed basically everything he put on blast. Then 9 months later, I'm working with him. However, I don't think I'm seeing him on social media. And I didn't actually buy most of the things from broadcast email, although he does a lot of that. I bought into his philosophy because I saw him with long form writing and with video that I could consume on my own time. The rule called the 7-11-4 rule, meaning that you need 7 touch points, 11 hours of time spent with you, and in 4 different modalities. That's apparently from research from Google. That was real in my business this year. The people I bought from are people who I don't just see pop up on social media. I consume their newsletters. I watch their YouTube videos. I listen to their podcasts. They're kind of in my ear at all times. And so, you know what? I wanted to do that for my people. My people, sure, they're on short form social media posts, but a lot of times when they're on Instagram, they're looking at dog memes and cat memes, and they're not actually looking to consume business content. They want to do that on their own time and maybe a slower pace where they're not just like browsing between meetings. So that's what I leaned in on. So I launched a YouTube channel. I'm currently launching a podcast where I'm co-hosting with a colleague. I turned all of my best newsletter content into mini courses, into a systems diagnostic assessment, and reorganized my blog, my website. It is really common for me now to have someone join my membership or join my community or want to hear more from me on my newsletter. And then they show up on a sales call and they're like, I love all of your videos. I've slowed down on posting on social media more than I ever have because people can find my best thinking online without me having to pump out nurture content. So I'm really thinking in terms of reusable assets. I hired an illustrator this year who took my frameworks and turned them into graphics that go into my newsletter and in my YouTube and in my book, which is going to be coming out in 2025. So I really thought about how can I do more with the content I have instead of being caught on the social media content creation hamster wheel. So that's 1. 2, I really leaned into some more leveraged offers. So again, for the first 3 years of my business, the primary way to work with me was through one-on-one consulting. There is a hard cap on the number of people I can take on to work with. Push that cap this year a little bit, but there is really kind of a hard cap of the number of people I can work with. And so when people would hear about me on a podcast or maybe not quite ready to work with me, but wanted to dip the toe in, I didn't really have anything beside my group program that I launched twice a year that people could join. But I was creating all of this content. I was teaching a free class once a month. I was creating these resources, but I wasn't making any money with doing that. And I wasn't able to help as many people as I wanted. So in June of this year, I launched the Deeper Business Membership. It's only $30 a month. However, I made almost $9,000 from that offer, and it has been a joy. I get to meet people I wouldn't normally meet. I get to build real community. Community doesn't mean that you have to have a circle platform or a Slack channel, although I do, but it's really where we come together. I get to meet people. I get to know different people I wouldn't have got to meet. There's some content there we really can circle around, but I'm starting to build more leveraged offerings to turn my fully high touch, bespoke one on one service into something that has more leverage. Because number three, I discovered and refell in love with that I want to be a teacher. I fell in love with writing. I fell in love with teaching. This is who I want to be in the world. Now, I had to do a ton of one on one in the business, hands on keyboard work to fund my life for the first 3 years. I took on fractional COO jobs and I worked hands on in consulting gigs. But I'm like, I really want to teach. I want to be able to reach larger amounts of people. That doesn't necessarily change the impact I have, because in my fractional COO work, I was having deep impact. But I think I have some unique perspectives on how to build an expertise-based business. And I love teaching it. And I love distilling complex ideas into simple frameworks and connecting the dots across multiple industries and silos. And so I'm going to lean in on doing that. This year really solidified for me that in 5 years, hopefully I will have more than one published book to my name. That's really what I want to do, is I want to write and I want to teach. So that's what worked well in my business, really leaning into somewhat more of the creator style business. I really want to continue having that like hands-on touch with my clients and that deep level of service. But I also want to lean into the fact that I'm a content creator and I want to be a teacher. So things that didn't work well, because that sounds like glorious, but I will tell you that trying to run fractional COO, one-on-one consulting, a group program, and launch memberships and do all this content creation and write a book comes at a toll, and a toll I wasn't really prepared for this year. I have a small team helping with delivery, but I don't have as much of a systems infrastructure I like, because I was still figuring out exactly who I wanted to work with and how I wanted to work and things like that. So this year, I spent time doubling down on what had worked for me in the first couple of years to get clients and learn, which was taking classes, joining communities, investing in myself, investing in different projects. And I planted too many seeds. I couldn't fully take advantage of all the communities I joined. I was making investments that, while I got a lot out of, I wasn't able to fully maximize what I was investing in and the outcome. So I got spread too thin. I planted too many seeds and I wasn't quick enough to prune them. Lesson here, especially when you're standing up multiple different kinds of business models, you're going to have less time for the business building activities that you think you're going to want to do. So I should have prioritized better. So part of planted too many seeds is I let some of my essential planning practices fall by the wayside because I was so excited about some of the opportunities. So, the number one way I get clients is doing collaborations, doing guest teaching, doing guest podcasts. And these are all things that were weighing on my time. And I actually took 2 weeks off in September to go on a vacation, or my 4 years delayed honeymoon with my husband, because we got married during COVID. So we went for 2 weeks. It was the first time I'd taken extended leave for my business. It was wonderful. It was glorious. But all of the collaboration opportunities that I had won over the summer, they all got kind of squished into like mid-October to early December. And it was too much for me. At that same time, I decided to launch a podcast. My friend Meg Casebolt came to me and said, "Do you want to launch a podcast? Check us out, aggressivelyhuman.substack.com if you want to hear more." But between guest podcasting that I'd won, guest teaching that I did, some follow-up guest teaching that I did, and launching our own podcast, I think 30 hours of just camera time for those guest teachings, those guest events, those collaborations, those interviews. Wonderful. But I didn't have really the calendar space, the white space for that many collaborations and that many interviews. I should have looked at my schedule farther in advance, really block some of that time off because that meant some of my big creative time on my book got relegated to the weekends, which is not healthy for me long term. So these are some of the things that if I had really kind of decided in advance what my time priorities were going to be for the number of new opportunities that I could take on at any given time, because I needed more white space in my calendar and I didn't do a great job of protecting that. And that leads into number 3, which is that particularly during this election season and this fall, I did a subpar job of really tending to my nervous system. Since earlier this year, really quit Instagram, taking that off my phone, quit Facebook, taking that off my phone. But I kind of got hooked back into election Twitter, election LinkedIn, election Substack, which bowing out of that. And so I was constantly glued to what was really happening this fall. And I didn't do a very good job of taking care of my nervous system. Since the election, taken Twitter off my phone. I haven't totally deleted my account, but I'm going to be doing that. I haven't really posted on LinkedIn really in a broadcast capacity for a few months now. I've posted here or there, announced my new podcast, but really taken the brakes off that because I'm leaning into, again, what I love to do, which is write and teach. And I just need more time to do that. I also didn't have great night hygiene related to digital media because my mind was busy, always thinking. I fell asleep to my phone watching my current guilty pleasure show, 911 Low Star with Rob Lowe. And I need to just leave my phone downstairs, get back into the habit of reading fiction. If you've got great fiction, drop it on the comments below and go back and tend to my nervous system because I just got overstretched and I didn't do a good job attending to my energy. So that's my wins and some of my opportunities from 2024. But let's look ahead at 2025. Because of my desire to lean into teaching, because of my structuring of my curriculum and my frameworks, because I've done so much teaching and writing and reading and consolidating and really articulating my point of view, this comes after 3 years of writing a newsletter consistently once a week. I'm ready to name and claim my business methodology and rebrand my business. So in 2025, I will no longer be Jessica Lackey, CEO of Jessica Lackey Consulting. I will be operating under a brand name. It's still going to be me. There's not going to be anybody else delivering material. It's still going to be me. But now I'm going to be leading with my ideas, leading with my point of view, leading with my belief about the power of business foundations and how they can compound over the long term. So that's what I'm leading with. So like I needed another project, but I'm going to be redoing my website, redoing my branding, and making sure that I have an offer suite and a brand that's going to carry me through the next chapter of my business journey. Because 4 years ago, I didn't know what I wanted to do. The starter brand was great. Now it's ready for the next chapter. Number 2, again, loving the teaching, really loving the fact that I'm teaching things that I see elsewhere in the ether, but aren't maybe all under one roof, like metrics tracking and revenue-based sales, and how do you consolidate all that into authority building strategies. So really kind of pulling that together and starting to launch my first standalone courses. It'll be new for me. I haven't launched them before. When I say standalone, they're not self-guided. You do you, catch on the flip side, they are going to be live experiences, but that lovely mix of video content, templates, guided calls. I'm really feeling like a lot of people want to have material they can rewatch over and over again, short bite materials, but that they can watch on their own time because my clients work with other clients, so they can't always make live calls. So really leaning in to asynchronous training with synchronous conversation and community is what I'm leaning into next year. So launching some courses in 2025. And then 3, the big kahuna, I'm committing right now that by this time next year, my book will be published. So I'm writing a book. Spoiler alert, it's all about the tropes we're sold when we start out building our online business and how we can think more deeply about the types of business we want to run. And then how do we make decisions from that place of rooted foundations. I'm 60,000 words in. I need to finish the last part of the first draft to go through the editing process. I have an art log because I created all these assets for the teaching and videos from this year. So by this time next year, hopefully I will be able to hold my book in my hands for 2025. So these are the things I'm excited about. This year was a big year for me of leverage, of starting to say repeatable assets, repeatable concepts. How do I start turning that into collateral that can compound? How can I be known for signature topics and start spreading the word? How can I turn that into more leveraged course offerings, but also really leveraged marketing and resilient marketing that works on my behalf so I don't have to stay on the constant hamster wheel? I'm really hoping that the efforts that I put in the first few years will allow me to take just a little foot off the gas in 2025, yet maintain the health of my business, because that is the point of systems. That is the point of having a flywheel where the effort you put in compounds and makes momentum easier, even when I can't put the pedal as hard on the gas. So I would love to hear for you. Are there any lessons you can take away from my 2024 experience? What goal are you most excited for 2025 for you? But also, is there a way I can be supportive of you and your business next year? I'd love to hear your own wins and opportunities for the year, something that you're excited about, and I'll catch you in 2025.